This is Channel 4, WSMV, Nashville.
From Channel 4 News, this is The Scene at 10 with Dan Miller, Bill Hall, and Charlie McAlexander.
Good evening. Thousands of additional students will be bused to school in Nashville as a result of a decision of the United States Supreme Court today. The court let stand a lower court order that the Metro School Board develop a new plan to mix black and white students. The Supreme Court's decision means an attempt to integrate schools with less busing has failed once and for all. Valerie Hyman has a report.
The Metro School Board wanted to eliminate much of the busing for integration that has been in effect here since 1971. But the U.S. Court of Appeals struck down a reduced busing plan for Nashville last year. Still determined, the school board asked the Supreme Court of the United States to review that decision. Today, the court said it would not.
I think it's fair to say that we're disappointed that the Supreme Court did not at least review the case.
School Board Chairman Kent Weeks said that means the board must develop a new desegregation plan for Nashville. And the board must write that plan according to the appeals court guidelines. Among other things, those guidelines require total system involvement. Kindergarten and predominantly white schools not now included in the busing plan must be involved, so thousands more students will be bused. Every school must have no more than 47% black students and no less than 17% black students. And the board's new plan must include extra help programs for poor students and multicultural classes for all teachers and children. Civil rights attorney Avon Williams said the Supreme Court's ruling once again rejects segregation as a way of discriminating against black people.
And so this is a victory for the black children, but not only for them, also for the white children. For this nation is one nation under God, as we say in our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And if all children cannot be treated equally, then that ideal of the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and of our Declaration of Independence and of our Constitution is not and cannot be fulfilled.
Williams will continue to represent blacks as the new desegregation plan is developed. School Board Chairman Kent Weeks said developing that plan will be a challenge to the entire community.
And I would include the plaintiffs in this action, the black students and black parents and white students of this community, to work with this board in developing a program and a plan for integration that truly represents the community and provides integrated education and quality education.
Classes will stay as they are until the end of this school year. But over the next several months, the board will participate in court hearings, public hearings, and private discussions to figure out how changes will begin next year, how the changes will be made, and how they'll be paid for. Valerie Hyman, Channel 4 News.
The Metro School Board was not alone in wanting the Supreme Court to consider desegregation with reduced busing. President Reagan opposes busing for integration, and last fall he ordered the Justice Department to join the lawsuit on the side of the school board. Today, a Justice Department spokesman said school busing is not a closed issue, and the Reagan administration will continue to oppose it.
We see no reason for a change of this administration's position of advancing alternatives to mandatory transportation to remedy intentional school segregation.
Reynolds said the administration will now concentrate its efforts in the lower courts rather than the Supreme Court. While the Supreme Court released its decision on the Nashville school desegregation case today, a think tank hired by a House subcommittee released its study on school segregation today. The study says segregation is increasing in the nation's schools, but less so in areas with busing plans. The study shows more progress toward desegregation has been made in the South, with the largest drop in segregation of black students found in Florida, Kentucky, and Delaware. The states with the most segregated schools are all in the north. A Tennessee state bank tax was struck down by the Supreme Court today. The court said the state's practice of putting a 3% tax on the interest from federal investments is unconstitutional. That's because the state of Tennessee does not tax earnings from local investments. The tax included interest from credit extended to farmers, such as that offered to federal farm credit banks and banks for cooperatives. The execution of convicted killer Thomas Barefoot, which had been set for tomorrow morning in Texas, was blocked by the Supreme Court today. Barefoot, who is 37 years old, was sentenced to die in the 1978 shooting death of a police officer. The court will hear arguments in Barefoot's case in April, but a final decision might not be announced until July. Barefoot was to have been the 7th U.S. prison inmate executed since 1967 and only the 2nd to be executed by lethal injection. The operator of a home for the elderly in Dixon, Tennessee, has pleaded innocent to charges that she beat an 84-year-old patient. Channel 4's Steve Hall has this report.
Eleanor Invelson, the woman in the brown coat, left the courtroom with her daughter. She had pleaded innocent and said she's been treated unfairly. But she's charged with aggravated assault for allegedly beating an 84-year-old woman in the Happy Hollow Home for the Elderly, which Invelson owns and operates.
The aggravated assault is due to the age and condition of the victim at the time of the assault. She was 84 years old and incapacitated.
District Attorney Kenneth Atkins said the victim was 84-year-old Dr. Ethel Comp, a Ph.D. and former teacher. He said she was beaten September 11th. Last Thursday she died, but there's no indication her death has any connection with the alleged beating incident.
Dr. Comp was hollering because she was frightened of the dark and of being alone.
Brenda Potts was a nurse's aide at the home. She testified before the grand jury which indicted Invelson. Potts said Dr. Comp had been yelling, and Invelson came downstairs to quiet her.
And I was trying to tie her restrainer, and she grabbed the restrainer and put it around her neck and pulled her back to the headboard and said, "I'm going to choke you, you damned old bitch. If you don't go to sleep and stop waking everybody up." And then she hit her in the face. And then she threw ice water in her face and then stuffed the Kleenexes deep inside her mouth.
Stuffed Kleenexes in her mouth?
Yes, Kleenexes. About 4 or 5 at a time.
Potts was one of 9 former Happy Hollow employees to testify before the grand jury. Inholson's lawyer said his client denies the charges and was completely surprised by them.
Happy Hollow's license is already being challenged by the state health department because of some other questions. One allegation, according to the health department, is that the home has been dispensing medicine to patients and is not licensed to do so. A hearing is scheduled in Nashville next month. Steve Hall, Channel 4 News.
The body of a Macon County man was found today lying in a chicken coop near his home. Authorities said 42-year-old Jerome Wilmer had been shot in the back and was left in the coop to die. Wilmer reportedly lived in this house with his wife, his daughter, and his daughter's boyfriend. Macon County Sheriff Bill Music said today the boyfriend is charged with Wilmer's murder, while Mrs. Wilmer and her daughter are charged with helping commit the crime. The 3 are in the Macon County Jail tonight, awaiting a pretrial hearing.
Dear Republic, in years of worldwide travel, I've never had such service, thanks to Mark Bird, Greg Correnti, and Janet Marshall.
Dear Republic, it was my first plane ride. Your people did everything for my comfort and courage. Thank you.
Nobody serves our republic like Republic.
When it looks like snow, the Mid-South depends on Channel 4's Snowbird for many reasons.
I like Snowbird because I like Bill Hall.
When snowflakes start to fall, turn to Channel 4's Snowbird on the Ralph Emery Show, morning news updates, and the scene at 6 and 10.
Snowbird is brought to you by Just Right Chili. When it looks like chilly weather, reach for Just Right Chili. And American Ace Coffee. If you don't get American Ace Coffee, go back to bed.
The great outdoors has come indoors. The spectacular Nashville Boat Sport and Travel Show at the Tennessee State Fairgrounds, January 26th through the 30th. Not only will you see a wide variety of boat, sporting, and camping equipment, but special attractions such as Tackletown, USA, travel and resort facilities available in the U.S. and Canada. It's all there, along with the world's best fishing experts conducting fishing clinics. It's the Nashville Boat Sport and Travel Show, where you see the great outdoors indoors, January 26th through the 30th, State Fairgrounds.
Because the worldwide demand for oil is down, some members of OPEC have been selling their oil for less than the price previously agreed to by all OPEC nations. And to prevent that practice from developing into a bitter price-cutting fight, OPEC countries met in Geneva today, a meeting which ended with nothing accomplished. Mike Jensen reports.
There it
agreement on price?
No, it's a complete failure.
Sheikh Ahmed Zaki Yamani of Saudi Arabia at the end of a two-day emergency OPEC meeting that ended in total failure. No quota agreement, no price agreement, no future meeting scheduled. Instead, a warning from Yamani to those OPEC members, mostly the African countries, which are stealing Saudi Arabia's customers by selling oil for less than the official OPEC price of $34 a barrel.
It's either they increase their prices or we reduce the $34.
It was the first time Yamani has publicly threatened to lower the Saudi price below $34. He was clearly exasperated with the price cutters.
How can I get an OPEC agreement from some member countries who are giving a discount right now of $7 per barrel? And they don't hide it. They said it inside OPEC that, yes, we give a discount.
So yesterday's agreement in principle on production quotas for each OPEC country fell apart because the Saudis and Kuwait insisted that it be linked to price increases by the discounters, who refused. The ministers could agree only on an overall production ceiling of 17.5 million barrels, about what they are producing now. The failure of this meeting in Geneva is good news for consumers all over the world. The experts say gas and oil prices will keep on dropping as long as the OPEC ministers keep on fighting. Mike Jensen, NBC News, Geneva.
Worry over the oil price outlook took its toll on Wall Street today. The stock market had its biggest plunge in 3 months, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average tumbling nearly 23 points. It ended the session at 1,030.17. About 100 people protesting production and use of the MX missile were arrested today at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. The base is a test site for that missile. Among those arrested and charged with trespassing were a 79-year-old woman and a 12-year-old boy. In Washington, D.C., another group of protesters was arrested today. This group was upset about the State Department's decision that El Salvador has improved its human rights record enough to be eligible again for aid from the United States. The operator and builder of Pennsylvania's 3 Mile Island nuclear plant settled a lawsuit out of court today. General Public Utilities Corporation had sued Babcock & Wilcox for $4 billion. Under terms of the settlement, the utility will receive $37 million for cleanup costs over the next 10 years. The reactor at 3 Mile Island is still out of service after the nation's worst nuclear power accident in 1979. A former Hartsville nuclear plant employee has filed a $2 million lawsuit charging he was exposed to a cancer-causing chemical. Clarence Edmondson, seen here in a Channel 4 interview last fall, claims he continues to suffer from the effects of 2-nitropropane, which was used in a paint primer at the TVA plant. Edmondson worked at the Hartsville plant as a painter for about 3 years. That plant was one of several canceled last year by the TVA. 6 used car dealers today agreed to cooperate in a Tennessee probe of alleged odometer rollbacks. Investigations have been conducted across the state by the Tennessee Consumer Affairs Department. Jim Travis has more on what today's agreement means.
Today, a half-dozen auto dealers signed agreed orders in Davidson County Chancery Court. They agreed to observe a state law that requires dealers to give purchasers a statement of true vehicle mileage. The dealers are Melvin Yates, Yates Used Cars, James Jenkins, Jenkins Auto Sales, both of Centerville, Brewster Marston Ford of Lawrenceburg, Joe Ray Wilbanks, Wilbanks Auto Sales of Waynesboro, Don Oakley, Oakley Used Cars, Florence, Alabama, and Verlin Barnhill, Barnhill Motors of Lyles, Tennessee.
The thing that all of these have in common is that these dealers neglected to give an odometer statement when they sold the car.
And the cars they sold were alleged by the state to have had the odometer mileage rolled back. The dealers were not, however, charged with actually rolling it back.
Equally as important to the state, the car dealers have agreed to cooperate in what is called the ongoing investigation of Gordon DeLong, who has done business as Centerville Auto Sales.
That is at the heart of these agreements. Last year, Verlin Barnhill told Channel 4's Alan Griggs he admits having tampered with odometers in the past. But under this agreement, he is only subject to a $1,000 fine if it happens again. The state apparently is more interested in Barnhill's former business partner, DeLong, who told Griggs he used to roll back odometers, but not anymore.
I have messed with speedometers back over the years. Yeah, I have. But I tell you what, it's been a long time since I messed with it.
Jim Travis, Channel 4 News.
Coming up on the scene at 10, Bill Hall says it's going to be wet but mild. He's up next with the forecast. And in sports, we'll take a look at the leading scorer for the SEC in action.
Hey, Vern, working on the old tom-tom, eh? You know what you need, Vern? It's some Miss Purity sweet acidophilus milk. Sweet acidophilus will help you digest some of that junk food you're so fond of. And besides that, it's low-fat. We talking skinny city, Vern. And Purity sweet acidophilus milk is as good for the inside of you as it is for the outside of you. Vern? You okay, Vern?
Fenwick? Fenwick, can Third National's money market investment account really compare with our account here at BC&F Investments?
Well, sir, Third's does have a high money market rate, and it's even more accessible.
More accessible?
They have 24-hour convenience with Tammy, the personal banker.
But we have no early withdrawal penalties.
Neither does Third National's account.
And you pay no startup fees or commissions. And theirs is federally insured.
What do you think, Fen? Where's Fenwick?
Oh, he went to Third National.
Fenwick! Fenwick!
It's JCPenney's half-day, half-price sale, Tuesday only. Save 50% or more on selected merchandise. Open noon on Tuesday at JCPenney.
A heavy storm building in the Pacific Ocean tonight is expected to hit northern California tomorrow. Already, winds gusting up to 70 miles an hour and pouring rains have caused flooding and other damage in parts of California. Thousands of homes were without power. About 80 families were evacuated from their homes, and some highways were closed because of mudslides and fallen trees. Rough weather out west, and luckily it's not happening here. Got some help with the weather.
That's right, Daniel. You know, there are times when we need some help. So this is Josh Bonus. He's a son of our cameraman over there, Mr. Rob Bonus.
What do you see there, Josh?
He's looking at the mud.
See me, huh?
Uh-huh.
See me too?
Yeah.
See Bill?
Yeah.
Now look over there. Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay, he's going to help you with weather.
That's right. No, I'm going to let him stay here with you and
okay. We'll
maybe do sports.
We'll
okay,
talk.
Josh, I'll let you sit here. There you go. Okay, watch Miller. He likes to talk about people. During the last 24 hours, the low was 35, our daytime high at 39, and the air quality good today. We've had no precipitation during the last 24 hours. For the month and for the year, we're at 2.38, and at this point in the year, we're 1.02 inches below normal. Presently, we've cloudy skies, 37 degrees, southwesterly wind 6 miles per hour, the pressure rising, relative humidity is 82%. Around the region, still rather mild due to the cloudiness, and we're retaining a little bit of the heat we've acquired recently. 36 at Jackson, 33 at Columbia and at Dixon, 36 at Waverly, 34 at Clarksville, 35 Bowling Green and at Gallatin, 34 at Cookeville, 37 Murfreesboro, 32 McMinnville, 35 at Shelbyville and at Tullahoma. The southeastern satellite view shows the remaining cloudiness over the area, which is why we're still in the 30s, and we think with the slow clearing tonight, what little there is, we will drop another 8 or 9 degrees over a large part of the area. The nation as a whole shows only the southern plains free of significant cloudiness, but considerable cloudiness covering the western third of the nation. Looking at the current rain-snow picture, few scattered shower and one area of thunderstorm activity right along the Texas-Louisiana border there, but elsewhere widely scattered light rain over the lower Mississippi Valley area. A few areas of showers in northern Kentucky, mostly snow over the northeast, some snow over portions of Montana and North Dakota. That's dipping back down into the plateau region and in and to and towards the Sierra Nevadas. Here's a look now at the current surface map and our major map features. The nation's recorded high today was 80 at McAllen in Texas. It was a -2 at Cut Bank and Great Falls, both in Montana. High pressure now centered over the Volunteer State, and as we said, that should begin to clear us out a little bit towards morning, but a cold front will move into our area. Not much in the way of precipitation associated with that particular frontal system. We will be watching others, though. Here's that storm system that's moved ashore now, and heavy snows are occurring over especially, well, not only the Cascades, but the Sierra Nevadas. Here now is a look at tomorrow's forecast map features. We can see that cold front will be dipping southward. High pressure will still be over the southeastern United States. Areas of precipitation will be confined to the Pacific Northwest, the Central Plains states, and the, Great Lakes area just north of the Pennsylvania-New York State area. Temperatures tomorrow will have us in the, mild 40s, you might say, but much colder teens and 20s will prevail over most of the northern third of the nation. And as we look at Wednesday's forecast map features, frontal system will start to produce showers over our area. High pressure will be pushed back a little bit to the south, but a lot of sunshine will prevail over the rest of the southeast. Our local weather radar scanning 160 miles in all directions, not indicating any precipitation. 35 degrees here at our studios. Tonight's forecast calling for mostly cloudy, cold conditions and a low of 30. Winds will be westerly at about 5 miles per hour. And for tomorrow, we look for a partly cloudy, cool day, high of 46, variable wind 10, and a low of 29. A 5-day forecast calls for rain on Wednesday and Thursday. Partly cloudy on Friday, more rain on Saturday. Morning lows this week down in the upper 20s to lower mid-30s. Daytime highs mainly in the mid-40s to near 50. And at 7:30 tomorrow morning, cloudy skies, 33 degrees. Okay. Say good night, Josh.
Good night.
Good night, Josh. Did a good job. Doctors in Boston today postponed surgery for a blind Nashville baby until tomorrow morning. 10-month-old Nathan Womack was examined by doctors at Massachusetts General Hospital on Friday. They're giving the child a 1 in 3 chance of seeing again after major surgery to correct a detached retina. Tomorrow's operation will involve the removal of extensive scar tissue on the retina of only one of Nathan's eyes. According to Nathan's doctor, it'll be about 1 month before they know whether the operation was successful. The expensive surgery was made possible when people across the Southeast gave more than $50,000 to the Womack family. Coming up in sports, the SEC scoreboard. And in our Focus 50 series this week, we'll take a look at the age-old profession of midwifery and how it has changed over the years.
Nobody serves a republic like Republic.
Dear Republic, your agent, Mr. Lashbrook, saved me $234, making me a hero with my company. That's service.
Dear Republic, I've called reservations many times and always been treated with utmost courtesy and even a sense of humor.
Nobody serves a republic like Republic.
I bet you've heard the phone company's changing. You'll have more choices, and you need to know how to do business with them now.
If your phone service isn't working right, the first thing to do is call repair service.
To get new service or to make a change, call your South Central Bell service representative. The numbers are in the front of your phone book.
If you have questions, let's talk. Call 1-800-555-5000.
See, they'd be glad to help you.
Rudy's here with sports. The basketballs were, what were they doing? They were dribbling tonight.
Yes, 1 per game is usually the quota.
Unless it's lost into the stands for some unknown reason.
That's
a
right.
Field goal.
Or you got a lot of guys who want to shoot, then you use 2 or 3, right?
Tennessee and Vandy, both in action tonight.
Both in action. Okay, the Tennessee Vols, first of all, played a conference game, and they upped their SEC record of 4-3 tonight with an 80-77 win over the Auburn Tigers. They played in Auburn. Dale Ellis had 26 points. Michael Brooks had 19. Charles Barkley, that awesome sophomore for Auburn, had 35 points to lead both teams. Tennessee's now overall 12-4, and the Vols controlled the second half of the game today. They missed some free throws near the end that probably would have made it a little wider in the margin than it was. Auburn 4-3 in the conference as well. The next game for Tennessee will be this Saturday in Knoxville as the Vols will host the Vanderbilt Commodores. Also in the SEC tonight down in Starkville, Mississippi, the Mississippi State Bulldogs faced LSU, and the leading scorer in the SEC is Jeff Malone, number 24, and a great outside shooter for Mississippi State. He can shoot anywhere. It doesn't make any difference. Had 18 points in the first half, put on almost a shooting clinic, wound up with 35 points as State won it 80-65. Howard Carter there with a jump shot had 25 points to lead LSU. It's the first win in 8 games for Mississippi State over LSU. The final again, State winning it 80-65. And we look at the numbers. Tennessee 80-77, Mississippi State over LSU 80-65. And one other conference game. What is wrong with Alabama? Just the strength of the conference overall as Ole Miss defeated Alabama tonight 64-63. Now for the Vanderbilt Commodores, they played a non-conference game against South Carolina tonight in Raleigh, South Carolina. It was close for the first half of the game, but then the Gamecocks pulled it out with an easy victory at the end, 85-71. Vandy led by 3 at the half. It was about midway through the second half that South Carolina started to take charge. Phil Cox had 22 points. Jimmy Foster had 25 points to lead South Carolina. Vandy is now 13-6 overall, and as I mentioned earlier, the next game for Vanderbilt will be against Tennessee in Knoxville on Saturday. Let's take a look at some other scores from around the country. St. John's defeated Villanova in a Big East showdown, 80-71. North Carolina 95, Georgia State 55. It was Arkansas over Texas 83-64. Illinois State over Tulsa 61-55, and Tennessee State defeated by Arkansas State on the road 55-52. This week's UPI college basketball ratings are out. The #1 team for the second week in a row, the UCLA Bruins. Let's take a look at UPI's list. UCLA, Indiana, North Carolina, Virginia, Memphis State in the top 5. Then St. John's, Louisville, Nevada, Las Vegas, Houston, Kentucky is number 10. Arkansas, Villanova, Missouri, Illinois State, Georgetown is the number 15 team. Then Iowa, Minnesota, Syracuse, and Washington State are tied for 18th, and Wake Forest is number 20. Bill Walsh has decided to stay on as the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers after all. Apparently, he can't find anybody suitable to take his place, which is exactly what he was looking for when he said so a couple of weeks ago. And yesterday, Bjorn Borg officially announced his retirement from professional tennis at the age of 26. He was a pro for 10 years, starting when he was 16 years old. You realize in those 10 years, he has earned over $78 million in prize money and in endorsement money. Just thought you'd be interested, so let's not moan for Bjorn Borg. In fact, he says he may not be through. And we'll have a final sports note, and that's that California Angels today signed free agent Ellis Valentine. Valentine batted .288, 8 home runs, 48 RBIs last year for the New York Mets. Okay,
thank you, Rudy. The town of Crawley, Louisiana has had to learn what life might be like without water. The city's water supply was cut off today after officials received a call from a person saying they had put cyanide in the water. So far, tests have shown there is no cyanide in the water, but to be on the safe side, officials say they will continue to flush chlorine through the water system, and they don't know when the water will be turned on again in Crowley, Louisiana. The 1983 dark-fired tobacco market opens in Tennessee this week, with farmers expecting good prices when the auctioning begins. About 40 to 45 million pounds of dark-fired tobacco is grown in the Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky tobacco belt, part of a record crop for 1982. Farmers say a dry growing season has helped enhance the yield, and when auctioning begins on Tuesday, excellent prices are expected, with top-grade leaf dark-fired tobacco predicted to bring an average $2.12 a pound.
You are invited up tree-lined driveways, beyond ornate gates, into the most magnificent private homes in the world.
Hello, I'm Paige Rentz, editor of Architectural Digest. It's my pleasure to invite you every month into homes with one very special element, magic.
Open Architectural Digest and visit the homes of celebrities. James Caan's country home, Ali McGraw's beach house, Gore Vidal's Hollywood villa, Princess Margaret's island retreat, Malcolm Forbes' Paris Chateau. You'll visit historic residences and see innovative, contemporary architecture. In each issue of Architectural Digest, browse through over 100 color pages showing homes of many styles and moods. Visit glorious gardens, view art and antiques, enter decorator showrooms and see designers' special choices in dazzling photographs on paper lush enough for a limited edition art book.
Of course, that makes Architectural Digest expensive to print and to buy. But our unique magazine is well worth its price. I believe you will agree.
Here's a way to find out with an extraordinary offer from Architectural Digest. You can get 12 exquisite issues for only $29.95. That's more than $18 off the newsstand price. And with your paid subscription, you'll receive a copy of Interiors, Character, and Color. It shows how successful designers use color to express the owner's character in the most personal way. For 1 year of Architectural Digest at $29.95 and Interiors, Character, and Color, call toll-free 1-800-453-9000 today. Hurry, this offer is limited. Call 1-800-453-9000.
Years ago, pregnant women who couldn't afford a doctor's care often turned to midwives to deliver their children. Now the midwife service is becoming an attractive alternative not only for those with limited money, but also for those who want more personal attention or want to deliver at home. In the first of a 5-part series, reporter Al Tompkins takes a look at this age-old profession.
So old is the midwife profession that it was mentioned in the first books of the Bible. Europeans used midwives widely, and wood carvings show their presence in early Egypt. But it wasn't until 1926 that Mary Breckinridge, considered by many to be a saint, established the first rural nursing service in the United States, and she would make a big impact. Mrs. Breckinridge had lost 2 children of her own. One at birth, the other died at age 4. After that, she dedicated her life to mothers and babies. Mrs. Breckenridge, the one in the hat here, often invited out-of-town health professionals to her extremely rural frontier nursing service nestled in the mountains of Hayden, Kentucky. The visitors often would leave so impressed with her work that they patterned their own rural clinics after hers. In the late 1920s, the Frontier Nursing Service produced this film that shows the incredible conditions early mountain midwives had to battle.
Nurse midwives have come a long way since those early days on the frontier. For one thing, nurse midwives now often operate in modern offices like this. For another, nurse midwives now have a strict curriculum for accreditation.
Modern midwives are first registered nurses. In addition, they undergo intensive training in midwifery. Heavy emphasis is placed on prenatal and postnatal care, the act of birthing, and routine gynecological tests and exams. To be certified, midwives must work with a backup doctor. 60 years ago, only the poorest women used midwives, but now more affluent women are turning to them. As we continue our series tomorrow, you'll learn why so many people want midwives these days, even though modern women, unlike their frontier ancestors, have a choice between obstetricians and midwives. And later this week, we'll examine big legal problems midwives face and why some doctors don't like midwives. Al Tompkins for NBC News.
Finally tonight, the Wall Street Journal recently commissioned the Gallup organization to conduct a poll of small and medium-sized companies to find out who the most respected business leader in America was. And in what could be some sort of statement about our country, 54% of the 822 business leaders surveyed said they couldn't think of anyone who was most respected. In second place, behind nobody, was Lee Iacocca, the head of Chrysler. That's the Scene at 10. Thank you for watching, and good night.